Hey, it's Samantha with the Rediscover Real podcast. I am so thrilled to be here with you. Are you feeling overwhelmed, confused, or stuck on a hamster wheel from constantly seeking external tools, validation, and buffering in a search for more joy and fulfillment? Rediscover Real means to pull back the curtain and return to the foundation, peeling away the layers of mindsets, identities, and beliefs that no longer serve us. As we choose to grow, move forward, and show up fully as God intended, because at our very core, inside of you, lies everything already, as God created you absolutely perfect. We get to uncover and rediscover what's inside of us, and then to expand into what we're capable of. In this space, we'll dive into topics on personal finance and budgeting, mindset and growth, relationships, network marketing, and entrepreneurship. I'm sure there'll be some laughter and possibly a few tears along the way. I'm on this journey and you're invited. I'm holding out my hand for you. Will you join me? Let's rediscover real together. I'm back with another episode, and this one is all about the podcast and everything that went on in my delightful, incredible, God-gifted brain to get here. So, buckle up. It's a fun one, and let's dive in. So, 2 days ago, I launched the podcast, meaning I actually pushed it out to Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, shared it on YouTube. Here's the thing. 7 years ago was when I first thought of having my own podcast. Now, it wasn't what it looks like and where I have it going now by any means, but that was when the idea and it first started. God first started putting it on my heart. 5 years ago, I recorded my first episode. Yeah. 5 years ago, I took my first kind of stab at it. I never published it. I never uploaded it anywhere. I never even attempted to. All I did was record it. And then I ran away because of fear of what others would think, fear of not being good enough, fear of not knowing enough, all the things. So for the last 5 years, like I shared in the trailer, it's taken a lot of mental push-ups, as I like to call them, learning where my identity is, a whole lot of coaching. So thankful for each one of my coaches. And I launched it 2 days ago. Now, I started to launch it again back in February. Recorded the intro, put music to it, the whole 9 yards. Didn't publish it because I didn't finish it. And I got stuck on the artwork, the graphic basically that goes with your podcast, because I'm not super gifted in the artwork department. And I shared it with a friend, what I had like a first draft. And her response was the last one was the best out of them. I took that because my delightful brain wants to keep me safe, as per usual, as they all sucked. That was like the best of the worst. That was not at all what she meant. And I'm super thankful that I'm at a place where we actually could have a conversation about that. And she's like, no, that's totally not what I meant. I meant they were all great. I just thought that one was the best out of those three that I sent her, the three options. Not that they were bad. Oh, my brain that loves to keep me safe. I love it to pieces. But here's the thing. I ran away from it again. And so here we are now in June, the end of June almost, finally launching it. And so basically, something in my brain, in my heart aligned. And I got to the place, thanks to, I just got to hear the amazing speaker, John Maxwell, speak live, and have had a lot of people breathe life into me while doing the mental push-ups. And basically I came to a point where I called myself out and like, are you doing this or not? Like, you have the capabilities. Are you going to step into your capabilities and the gifts that God gave you? Or are you going to continue to shrink back and play small for another 5, 7, who knows how many years, right? So 3 days ago, I recorded like 5 hours of content for the podcast, and also something else that's super exciting that's coming very soon is my first course. And I'm really excited to launch that because I think it's going to impact and help a lot of people. So I did all the recordings. I was like, you don't just record content today. It's fine. Now, I was sick. I was all stuffed up. I also didn't have a microphone. I'd been looking at microphones, but it was like that, do you really spend the money? Are you actually going to do this? Like, you've been supposed to be doing it for 5 years and you haven't yet. So should you really be going and spending the money on this? Like, are you actually going to do it? To the point where I had microphones on buy and sell, Facebook buy and sell saved, but I hadn't actually messaged anyone. So, but I was like, no excuses. You're doing this. You're stepping into this. You're called to this. Just do it. So I recorded, knowing that the sound probably wasn't going to be the greatest, and I was stuffed up, so I might not sound super, perfect, but this wasn't about perfection. This was what John Maxwell taught me at the convention with my network marketing company that I was just at in Nashville, called the Cycle to Success. And basically, what it consists of, is to fail forward faster. If you know him at all, he literally has a book called Failing Forward. And I've read the book and it impacted me, but you can't just read something, you have to implement it, right? And so slowly over time, I've been implementing this and learning this. And as someone who is, if you know what the Enneagram is, I'm an Enneagram type 1. And I'm a recovering perfectionist, recovering only in the sense of recovering with thinking that A, it's a bad thing, and B, that everything has to be perfect. Because A, that's a gift that I can use in incredible ways when I'm in a healthy place. And B, I get to let go of that perfection, right? So the cycle to success is that you test a lot. You test the things and then you fail and then you learn and then you improve and then you re-enter. And if you're watching this, you'll see as we test and fail and learn and improve, and then we re-enter, and then we test and we fail and we learn and we improve and we re-enter. If you're continually failing at something, and one of John Maxwell's favorite things is like, and you're just hitting that ceiling and you keep hitting it over and over and over again, and you're not actually learning or improving and moving up, that's like the definition of insanity, right? So we want to fail forward faster. So how can we test more, fail more, learn more, improve more, and re-enter and do that cycle faster? So that's what this all really was about. And I kept this at the forefront. The two thoughts that were at the forefront was, it does not need to be perfect. This is just the cycle to success. Fail forward faster. And it's okay. You can redo it down the road. Like, it's okay. Just get it out there. So I recorded the content on the Friday. On the Saturday, I spent like 8 hours editing, publishing, figuring out all the platforms, running it through audio programs and splicing things and editing, all the editing stuff, which I knew was a big thing, but definitely was a learning curve. And I'm one of those people that love solving puzzles. And so while it was like, this is a lot of work, it was a puzzle that I wanted to solve. And to come at it with curiosity is something that I've really learned to do. Like just that success cycle, right? Be curious, get curious, lean into that, right? Lean into failing. So I published it, and guess what? So sometimes with Apple Podcasts, it can take up to 2 weeks for it to actually be published and show up. Well, it showed up within like an hour, guys. My podcast was live on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, and I was like, now I have to figure out a launch plan. So when you're watching this, you've already like seen some of the launch plan, probably, and we'll see. I still have to plan that out, but I wanted to share this while it was, because this was some topics I'll share once they're scars, right? We're not going to share open wounds all the time. This is something that I feel like I can share because it's not an open wound. It's kind of that we've walked through all those things, and so now we're here, so it's good. So here's the thing. I published it. I had been texting with a friend and told them that my podcast was published, and they're like, where can I listen to it? And what was my response? I literally told them they can't listen to it, that they're not allowed. And that was literally, I sat here and I was like, well, we published it. Nobody needs to listen to it. I won. I have succeeded in publishing a podcast. Nobody needs to listen to it though. It's fine. Oh, you guys, my brain that wants to keep me safe. I love it so much. And then another friend I messaged and they're like, wait, it's live? And I was like, yeah. They're like, well, where can we listen? And I was like, you get to do this, Sam. You get to step out. It's imperfect and it's okay, but you're doing this. You have not wasted, you've not spent all this time doing this and gotten this far to only come this far. Like, you are not going to have a podcast out there and then tell no one. That would be insanity also. So I sent them the links and they listened. And they definitely, you could tell the audio wasn't as good as it could be. Now, here's the thing. So I listened to the podcast the next morning. This was yesterday morning while I was in the shower, and I pulled out every and imperfection in the first 3 episodes. And I wanted to die a little bit inside. And I was like, I'm deleting it all. I'm going to re-record it all. I'm taking it down. Like, we'll do it perfectly. It's out there, but now like I still haven't launched it. So I can still like take it back, and only like a couple people have heard it. So I can take it back, re-record it, and like put the perfect side out when I launch it. And then I got to do the mental push-ups and say, no, this is about being real and vulnerable. And so at some point I may redo those episodes, but actually I really like the content. Now here's the thing with those first 3 episodes, and the intro and the outro on those first 3 episodes. I did 0 preparation. I had 0 script. I had 0 outline. For the 3 episodes, the first episode in particular, I hit record and I didn't even know what I was going to talk about. Literally did not know my topic. I was like, you've got lots of topics there. I basically just said, okay, God, give me the words to say. I said that at the beginning before I started recording the intro and the outro and those things. And then I prayed that prayer again when I hit record for the actual first episode. And you can see, if you listen, when you're not listening to the content, you can tell that by the second episode, my confidence is built a lot more, and I'm speaking way more confidently. And it's not that I'm not confident about the first topic. It's because I literally just said, how can I test and fail faster? How can I fail at this as fast as possible? Because I know the stuff. So instead of like having the perfect outline and the perfect script and like memorizing it, or, knowing like blah, 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 adding like all these like extra facts that really don't need to be in there, just do it. And so I did it. And it's so imperfect, you guys. And so is this. And that is what I want this to be. This is not about perfection. Now, I plan on having a little bit of an outline. and I know these things. I have studied these topics for years now. And while I don't know everything, I'm on the journey and I'm just inviting you along as a friend on my couch with a cup of tea, or maybe you need a glass of wine for this, I'm not sure. But it's not about perfection. It's about that cycle to success. Now, here's the other thing. In those 5-7 years, I've watched a lot of my mentors and people in the industry surrounding me launch podcasts. Like tons. And every time I'd go through a phase of like, well, they're all doing it, all the thoughts would creep up. Well, they're all doing it and they have more impact and influence than I have, so there's no point in me doing it. And there's, oh, well, I don't see anybody. And then on the flip side of that, okay, well, I don't see anybody else really doing a podcast right now. I haven't seen any new ones come out. Maybe that's not where I should go. These marketing and just, where people go has shifted again. So maybe it's like irrelevant at this point and I shouldn't be doing it. I had 100% of the probabilities. I had an excuse for every single one of them. And here's the thing, is you can change your perspective. You can shift your perspective and see a different path that fast. And so instead of those thoughts, I just had a couple more mentors and friends launch podcasts. And so instead of going, oh, well, they did it too, it's clearly a saturated market and there's no point in me doing it, I said, well, they're doing it. It's clearly still relevant. And I have a different perspective, different words, different ways of sharing that people will identify with. And some will, some won't, and that's okay. This is about creating impact. This is about creating a ripple effect. And that's, for me, I felt for so long, I felt called to this. And so this is me stepping out and listening and obeying what God has called me to. And I am so thrilled. So I picked up my microphone yesterday and I got the little wind screen and a new cord and all those things. So this is the first podcast with an actual microphone. Oh my gosh. So we'll see if the sound is any better. Now, the last piece to this is when I decided that I wasn't going to redo those first 3 episodes, instantly my brain was like, okay, then you're going to do a podcast on perfection and how not to be perfect and how this is all about not being perfect. But it was coming from the place of trying to reason and like excuse those 3 episodes and like kind of almost not apologize, but kind of. And so then I got to do some more mental push-ups and go, okay, let's get our mind right. Let's get our heart right. And now I want to share this just as an excellent example and something I've walked through and a very real, tangible example of to fail forward faster and to take imperfect action in whatever it is. It's just like relationships. It's like working out and going to the gym. It's like eating well. Our relationships with God. The first time you try to pray, it probably won't feel like, I don't know, you're not going to like hear kumbaya, right? I don't know if you ever do. But you're going to stumble through it. You're not going to fail. You can't fail at that, but it's going to feel unfamiliar and it's going to feel awkward, right? And it might, whatever those things are. Same with anything, trying anything new, right? How can you fail forward faster? So, where in your life do you get to step in to failing forward faster into that success cycle? I'd love to hear. Tag me on social. Tell me where you see you're stepping into that cycle of success, the testing, failing, learning, improving, and then re-entering. And where do you want to step into failing forward faster more? All right, this has been fun. I have a microphone, so I guess we're official now or something. No, that's the whole thing, is it doesn't have to be the whole, one of the main themes of this podcast is it doesn't need to look like what society tells you. It should, needs to, whatever look like, right? Now, do I want to test and fail and learn and improve and re-enter? Yeah. So am I here with a microphone now? Have I re-recorded the intro and the outro with a microphone? Yeah. But that doesn't mean that taking action cures everything. And that's the biggest thing. Every time I've stepped into, even with these little baby steps that I've taken over and over and over again and then stalled out, it's prepared me. Now, if I could have had the perspective I have now of that cycle to success and failing forward faster, there wouldn't, because every time I kind of stalled out, that left me feeling like I actually truly failed. Whereas the only time you actually fail is when you stop trying. And that's the thing. And so in those gaps where I stopped trying, that was the failure. That was the only, but getting back up and going again. And it's so much harder to get back up and go again. Whereas if I would have had that perspective of, okay, we tested, we failed, we're going to learn, improve, and we'll re-enter, right? And like, okay, cool. So that didn't like turn out perfectly. That's okay. Let's do it again and improve a little bit, right? Fail forward faster. All right. I can't wait to hear your takeaways. Welcome to the podcast with a microphone. And we'll see you all again soon. You just finished another episode of the Rediscover Real podcast. My hope is always that you come away encouraged. And if you found this valuable, would you share it with a friend? And be sure to tag me on social media. I love seeing your takeaways. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. And I would so appreciate it if you took a second to rate and review this podcast so that more people can find it. Also, take a peek in the show notes for a link to my website that has a special gift just for you for listening today. As always, I'm on the journey and you're invited. Let's rediscover real together.